Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the October 20th, 2025 Hartford School Building Committee meeting. I call this meeting to order at 12:04 p.m. The first item on the agenda is roll call. Mr. Little?
Mr. Shea Ajayi.
Present.
Executive Sherry Davis Booth.
Present.
Mr. Al Gary.
Present.
Mr. Edison Silva.
Present.
Mr. Clarence Corbin.
Mr. Corbin is rejoining the meeting as we speak.
Okay, we'll go on. Ms. Shantae Browdy.
Present.
Mr. Corey Mills.
Present.
Okay, with 6 voting members present, we do have a quorum. Thank you and good afternoon.
Thank you, Mr. Little. Second item on the agenda is the acceptance of the minutes from September 15, 2025. I'm sure everyone had a chance to review. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Mills. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Gary. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye, or raise your hands.
Aye.
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 Any nays? Thank you. Any nays or abstentions? Okay, motion carries. Third item on the agenda is the acceptance from the minutes. This was a special meeting on September 30th, 2025 regarding GMP for Fred Wish. Can I have a motion?
So move.
Thank you, Mr. Silver. Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Davis Gooch. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye or raise your hands.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any nays or abstentions? Okay, motion carries. The fourth item on the agenda is a note about public participation, which I'll now read. Public participation will be supported throughout the duration of the meeting by using the comments function on either YouTube, Facebook, or by emailing comments directly to the Director of Capital Projects and Operations, julia.jack@hartford.gov prior to or during the meeting. The fifth agenda item, administrative. There aren't, with respect to this agenda, any administrative items to speak to, so I'll go right to the next agenda item, which are current projects under construction, Arcadis on GCNR project management. There are a few action items here, so I will pass it to Jack.
Thank you. Good afternoon. First item before us, I think you went past it. 38. Could you go full screen, full width, please? Yeah, that's better. No, it's not. First item before us today is change order number 38 to Newfield Construction for the Buckley High renovation project. Total value of this change is $140,084. This has been reviewed and approved by the change order subcommittee, and we ask your endorsement.
Thank you, Jack. Can I have a motion?
So move.
Thank you, Mr. Silver. Thank you, Mr. Mills, for the second. Any discussion on this particular item? Okay. Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Raise your hands.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Sorry, I couldn't get my mute off.
No worries at all. Any nays or abstentions? Okay, hearing none, motion carries. Jack, back to you.
Next item before us is change order number 39 for the Buckley Central Administration. Total value is $8,995. This has also been reviewed and approved by the change order subcommittee, and we ask your endorsement.
Thank you, Jack. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Mills. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Silver. Any discussion on this particular item? Hearing none, all in favor say aye, raise your hands.
Aye.
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 Any nays or abstentions? Okay, hearing none, motion carries. Jack, back to you.
Thank you. Next before us is change order number 38 to PDS for the Burns renovation project. Total value of these changes is $119,574. It has been reviewed and approved by the change order subcommittee, and we ask your endorsement.
Thank you, Jack. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Davis Googe. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Mills. Any discussion on this particular item? Okay, hearing none, all in favor say aye, raise your hands.
Aye.
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 Thank you. Any nays or abstentions? Okay. Motion carries. Okay, now we have project updates, project reports. Jack.
Yes, as we look at project status, our budget and schedule status remains consistent. We do have some areas within the Buckley project that will be coming on board a little bit into 2026, but occupancy will be possible once we come back from the Christmas holidays. So our substantial completion date for the student areas will be met in our December timeframe. Next slide. We continue to meet or exceed our goals for all labor forces for Buckley. We're still maintaining better than 25% on local resident workers at Burns. And this is, as we're in the home stretch, we don't expect that number to be increased significantly, but all hands are still making all efforts possible in order to bring additional Hartford resident workers into the project where we can. Next slide.
Jack, I know I asked this in the prior meeting. It sounds like for the Burns side of things, the construction residency, given the work being tapered off, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to reach the goal of 30%. Is that fair to say?
Yes, again, with the vast majority of the work complete, to close a 5% gap or 4.5% gap in the remaining months is not going to be achievable, but given the small crew sizes and the extended duration of this project, the 25.5 or so that we have is actually a fairly good result based on all the challenges the project has had.
And given the rest of the project, do we anticipate that should increase given the few months we have left with regard to this project?
We do not see much opportunity to increase and to any significant measure above the 25.5% we currently have.
And yeah, I think, maybe we can work on, Buckley's residency is over exceeding, of course, and, Burns I see as a shortfall. So a little hard to digest there, but I'm sure, I know your teams are working extremely hard on, and have been working extremely hard on reaching those goals. So maybe we can just take that a little offline for other projects for the future.
Correct. Are there any other utilization goal questions? If not, we'll run into our report on the Buckley project. We are moving into the final home stretch. Presently, we have paid to date about 162.5 million, have received 113, almost 114 from the state, which represents 69% of what we've had out the door come back. We do have payment request number 14, which is about 25 million, which will be received in November. Again, we're reporting to you on a monthly basis. We're not allowed to draw cash from the state any more frequently than every 2 months. So there is a bit of a dip in those middle months as far as the paid to date number. Regarding central admin, we've paid just over 29 million, received just over 19. So that's about a 66% cash in hand. We have payment request number 8 submitted for about 500,000. That also is expected to be received in November. Next slide. As you can tell from the photographs, we are really seeing a lot of finishes go in place. We're making good progress on wrapping up the upper floors as we work through our way from top to bottom in order to back out the door on the first floor. Considerable amount of site work is still underway, and we are now beginning to see final areas start towards the punch listing process. Next step. Next slide. For the Board of Ed area, we are preparing that for reoccupancy. We anticipate move dates in early December for Hartford Public School staff to return back to the building. We anticipate the availability of the commissary for operations in early January, but we expect food and other supplies to begin delivery throughout the month of December to set that up for success. The demolition of the old auto shop building, which sits in front of the new commissary, is proceeding. We're down to the ground, and now the foundation and slabs are being removed, so that work is all working along schedule in order to provide use to the commissary. Next slide, please.
Hey, Jack, quick question on the move to central admin. Can you just clarify how, of course, this was a lot of work, just how long the move would take place, given it's starting in December, early December, you mentioned?
Sherry, you can correct me if I misstate, but we're looking for moves the first week of December and occupancy on or about December 8th. Is that correct?
Yes, I mean, Mark hasn't confirmed, Mark Sadisky hasn't confirmed exactly the exact date yet. We're waiting for SJA or something like that, one of those acronyms. I'm not sure of exactly what they mean, but I know it deals with having the fire marshal and folks all out to agree that the building is ready for occupancy. But yes, that is our goal. So
And Sherry, I can jump in. This is Mark.
yep.
Yeah, Newfield's requested a meeting with authorities having jurisdiction, the AHJ's building inspector and fire marshal, to see if there's any additional work, walls, fire extinguishers, things like that need to be put into place. But the plan right now that Sherry and I have discussed is to move belongings and such the first week of December, and then have Board of Ed staff in place December 8th. That's correct, Sherry, right? Yeah.
Yes, it is. And I'll just add that, we know that we have the lease until December 30th. So there may be some residual stuff that we need to get over there. But yes, having folks in the building, we're hoping by that second week.
That's great. Thank you. Thank you, Sharon. Thank you.
Any other questions regarding Buckley?
Yes, thank you, Jack. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Jack or yes, the official inspection by the group of I guess officials, is that to go concurrent with the punch list or following?
Mark, you want to comment
Yeah,
on that?
this is Mark Sadensky.
Okay.
No, punch list will be separate. So the punch list will be performed by the architect and owner, whereas the final inspection will be separate to sign off on a certificate of occupancy. That will be separate from the architect's inspection of the punch list. The architect will be looking for, quality things, nicks on walls, things that need to be repaired, whereas the building inspector and fire marshal are more concerned with life safety systems. If there's a gouge in the wall, the building official is not too concerned, but if a horn strobe for the fire alarm is not working in room 101, that is their concern.
Okay, so they're not dependent on one another then.
No.
I see Ms. Browdy's hand is up.
Yes, a quick question. So does, like, Weaver has the indoor track, does Buckley have an indoor track for practice?
The field house at Buckley is much smaller than that at Weaver. I do not believe we have any lanes for indoor track practice.
Okay, do you know if there's a jump pit?
I do not believe
Long
so.
jump pit? Okay, thank you.
Okay. Jack, back to you.
Okay, with no further questions, we'll move forward into Burns. For budget updates, we have paid to date just shy of 49 million and have received just shy of 38 million from the state, representing 80% cash reimbursed to date. We have progress payment number 16 submitted with about 3.8 million due in November. So that'll bring our numbers back into the 80s. Next slide. You can see some illustrations of the parking lot paved and the new lighting installed. We are working through Area 7, the main office, that's typo, main, not mail office, auditorium and main entry. We also have some residual site work that's moving on. And as we get into the ground floor of B wing, we also are working below slab with some plumbing operations. We have additional roughing that's in place. All of these efforts continuing on through the end of the year in order to turn the building over in the spring. Next slide. You can see additional finished spaces, remaining rooftop units that have been installed, and then some images of the plumbing roughing and under slab work, which is now proceeded to the point where we're backfilling and repairing the concrete. Next slide. You can see for the 90-day look ahead, a considerable amount of tasks throughout the building at Buckley High School as we work towards our completion dates. As noted in the past, our auditorium and some areas, some work regarding the pool rather, will be extending into the new year. Next slide. And for Burns, we do see, again, not as many tasks working, again, with the smaller crews and the limited areas that we have control over, but we'll be working diligently through the next 3 months as we get closer and closer to completion. And that concludes our report, unless there are any further questions.
I'll say this again, Always nice to see the progress. And manage to look ahead. One of these projects are coming to a close. It's about to be soon. So appreciate all the work that's being done on these projects.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to agenda item number 7. Current projects under construction, colleague project leaders. Judy.
Good afternoon, everyone. So the first action item for today is for change order number 14. This is to Downs Construction Company. This is for the Betances Learning Lab School. After a thorough review by the change order committee, this is actually a credit of $45,458.96. It was thoroughly reviewed by the change order subcommittee, and we're looking for your endorsement on today.
Thank you, Judy. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Silver. May I have a second? Okay, I see Al's hand for the second.
Second, yes, thank you.
Thank you. Any discussion on this particular item? Hearing none. All in favor say aye or raise your hands.
Aye.
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 Thank you.
Aye.
Thank you. Any nays or abstentions on this item? Hearing none, motion passes. Judy?
And next is for change order number 13 to Downs Construction for the Kennelly School. This is for amount of $119,914.09. Within this change order included some remediation inside the building as well as ledge removal, some mulch that's needed for a play area, just to name a few. These PCOs were thoroughly reviewed by the change order committee, and we're seeking your endorsement on today.
Thank you, Judy. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Davis Googe. May I have a second? Thank you, Mr. Mills. Any discussion on this particular item? Okay, hearing none, all in favor say aye and raise your hands.
Aye.
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 Thank you. Thank you. Any nays or abstentions? Hearing none, motion carries. Judy?
The next item for review is for the Wish School. This is for a GMP amendment to 2 packages, and ultimately there was a slight increase for CM allowance and general conditions. So for bid package 2.04 for masonry, the initial contractor had a DAS pre-qualification, they lost it. So we went to the next qualified bidder, which was Connecticut Masons. This was an increase of $23,000. And then for structural steel, that was a transpose number, which is a difference of $63,000, ultimately leading to a GMP 1.1 increase of $91,407.99. This was thoroughly reviewed by the bid review / change order committee, and we're seeking your endorsement on today.
Thank you, Judy. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Silver. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Gary.
Yes, thank you.
Discussions on this item? Just Judy, one question with regard to transpose difference. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Sure. So initially, the construction team presented the amount of $2,907,000. The 7 and the 0 were swapped. So the correct number is $2,970,000.
I see. Difference being in favor of us.
Well, it's 63,000. That's what the initial bid amount was. It was just swapped the numbers. So it's actually an increase of 63,000.
Got it.
And just please note that this was within the reconciled estimate for this amount for the steel package.
Okay. Thank you, Judy. No further questions from me. All in favor, say aye, raise your hands.
Aye.
Aye.
Any nays or abstentions? Hearing none, motion carries. Judy, project reports.
Yep. Next slide, please. So for Betances Kennelly, we are exceeding for minority and women participation at 71.7% for Betances and 62.6% for Kennelly. We do see an increase in the Hartford participation percentages. We're currently at 27.4% for Betances and 28.4% for Kennelly. We're working with the construction managers as well as the labor unions for those increases, and we have seen those numbers increase from last month to this month. So we're excited for these numbers to increase to include Hartford participation. As WISH comes aboard, we'll start to see some changes to the numbers that are listed as well. So great progress. Any questions as it relates to equal opportunity status report? All right, next slide. So total contract for date for Betances is at 65.6 million. Paid to date is 14.3 million. Reimbursed is 6.5 million, which is about 65%. We're currently working with OGA as well as Hartford Public Schools on a process of maximizing reimbursement to the city. And we're also establishing standards across all projects. So our team is working with the state and Hartford Public Schools to make sure that we're all on track. And as it relates to schedule, we're at 40% complete for the northeast corner. Our expected completion is at April 2026, and we are currently on schedule. Next slide. So as you can see, exciting news as we go into the classrooms. There's some framing taking place. After the framing, we'll start to see some installation of within the walls. As you can see, we have also some framing for the door frames. Windows should be going in soon as well. So it's some exciting news as we get closer to renovating these spaces. Next slide. So for the addition, as you can see, the CMU block wall is being installed as we speak. Delivery of steel took place today. We'll start to see some steel structure go in place. We'll talk further of the next upcoming months. It's exciting to see the progress. Framing for exterior doors and windows, you can see those in the pictures as well.
Judy, may I interrupt? I have a question. As far as expected deliveries of those items, which can be long lead, like the windows, for instance, or are any surprises, any disappointments, anything to be concerned about?
Not from my understanding of the project. The steel was arrived today. I was actually on site, so that still will start to be installed. I do not anticipate any other delays for materials.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Next slide. So for the next 3 months, we'll see the masonry continue, as well as structural steel within the addition. And then as we get closer to November, December, we'll start seeing that addition closing up with the install of the roof. And once the building is watertight, then we'll start pulling in power as well as data wires into that new space. For the classrooms and support spaces, as you saw in the pictures, framing of the metal studs were in place. We'll start seeing some insulation and drywall in the coming months, as well as painting of those walls and install of the ceiling grid and lighting placements. Any questions on the baton system? All right, next slide. So for E.B. Kennelly, total contract to date is at 78.6 million. Paid to date is at 14.3 million. 5.4 for OGA reimbursement, and we're currently at 51%. And then as we move into the schedule, we're at 38% complete for the addition, 15% complete for the Northeast classrooms. These areas are expected to be complete by August 2026, and we're looking to be on schedule. Next slide. So exciting news, as you guys can see, the sill is going up around the exterior of the building. So this is the northeast classroom of the building itself. You can see the steel deck being placed. It's currently in the process of being plumbed and making sure that it's aligning vertically as well as squared with the structural steel. So it's exciting news to see the progress of the addition go up. Any questions? All right, next slide. Northeast classroom. As you know, that these classrooms have been demolished, and then they're currently being reinstalled. New underground plumbing. You can also see some pictures of the installation inside the ceilings, and we also have some install of the drywall. So as we are occupying these spaces, we're putting them back together with new windows as well. Any questions? Next slide. So going for the addition, for the months of October, November, December, we'll start to see the steel deck be complete. Concrete pour will take place, as well as the underground utilities for the kitchen. That's also going to be in progress, with continuation of the mechanical, electrical, plumbing above ceiling installation as well. For the interior, the remediation of the exterior gym wall will be in progress in October, starting this week, and it will go until complete in November. As we go into those interior spaces, we'll start the install of drywall and the continuation of the mechanical, electrical, and plumbing throughout those classroom spaces. Any questions on the Kennelly School? All right, next slide. So Freddie Wish, we're currently contracted at 53.2 million, paid to date 7.7 million, reimbursed 5.8 million, and we're currently at 76% reimbursed from OGA. So bidding is currently in progress. We do have 4 bid packages that will need to be rebid. So that will be hopefully by the end of the month, that will go out and be scoped for next month. So our anticipation to come to you guys again in November for the approval of GMP number 2. Next slide. So great news, guys. Construction mobilization is taking place today. So the first act of for the site contractor is to start the construction site erosion control. Like I said in the previous slide, rebidding of remaining packages will take place, as well as install of foundations. And ultimately that install foundations will continue in the month of December. Any questions on the Freddie Wish School? All right, thank you all.
Thank you, Judy. Yeah, it's certainly always great to see the progress moving forward with the schools. Thank you. I also taken note of the second to last slide you showed, showing the schedule of occupancy. I thought is helpful, right? And I'd ask the same for other schools that are on the docket as well. From Jack and Judy, or the other schools under each of your works. So, thank you. Thank you. I see a question from Ms. Brody.
Yes, thank you. So I'm trying to get clarification on our process. I didn't know if someone from the city is available to answer. So just a process question as far as like minority contractors. So if if they have any questions regarding a process, I know sometimes that shows up as a protest, but sometimes it could be an email, something in writing. Do we typically not meet with them and just go on and make a decision, or walk me through that process?
Thank you, Ms. Brody. And I see two representatives from the city under procurement. I will pass the mic to Michelle.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. So Ms. Brody, it depends on what the case is. So everything is obviously case specific. And I believe you are talking about an individual case, and just to let you know, we did speak to that contractor, but the city is always open to having conversations and explaining the process to, whoever the contractor is. I think that's my best response to that. But yeah, if it's who I think you're talking about, we did just have a conversation.
So will we respond with, yes, we will meet with you, and then we go and make a decision without meeting with them? Like, that's the process I'm talking about. So I want to know, like, the expectation, like what's realistic for them to expect.
So if a matter is brought before the city of Hartford, right, the first thing we do is gather all the information and do an investigation, right? We look for facts, the facts of the matter as far as whatever the matter may be. And so that, I believe, is the first of it, right? Because I don't believe a conversation was requested up front ahead of anyone receiving a document from the city of Hartford. As far as anything coming after that, I'm not sure. I believe you may be talking about a bid that was closed. I'm still actually investigating that part of it, because someone did actually ask me that part, and I can't say that is true or not true from what I was told by one of our program managers. So I actually have to go back to the drawing board as far as that, because I think there was a miscommunication as far as that was concerned.
So would this, at this point, we've moved ahead with that particular package, correct?
Well, that's what's in question. That was brought to my attention on Friday during a meeting that was held. Okay. So now, based on that information, now I have to go back to the drawing boards and ask the proper individual the questions.
Okay, so my second question would be, in any case, because I think we talked about it here before, with being fiscally responsible, of course, with the cities and states funds. And would it ever, like, what is the process when, if you do disqualify the lowest bidder and it goes to the next person, but it's like a substantial amount higher? So I thought the process was described to me as I think in a previous case, we went back out the bid because the second was so high, or we were, for that reason, like, could we get a better number? Because the numbers between the disqualified person and the next one. Is that always the process that we say, yes, it's substantially more, or we just go to the next person?
So Again, I'm going to bring it back to the fact of the matter that it is a case by case basis. And when I say case by case basis, right? So when we review, or I should say, when the construction manager reviews the responses that come in, right? The first thing that they should do is look for responsiveness, right? To make sure all their ducks are in a row as per the scope of services, right? And the specs that, we put out there as far as the solicitation. So that's the first. And now, okay, we're looking at this one who gave the lowest price, right? So the lowest price is out there, but somehow maybe someone, made a mistake and they did not, maybe they didn't cross a T or dot an I on their paperwork. And now this is brought forth, right? So now they're deemed as non-responsive, right? So now you have a non-responsive bidder. Now you're looking at the next one, right? But you also have to look at the budget, right? So if the next one, okay, say maybe there's just a couple hundred difference and it's in the budget, then 9 times out of 10, it will go to the second lowest bidder. However, if the next lowest bidder is hundreds of thousands of above our budget, then we're not able to do it, right? We just don't have the money to go to the next bidder because, again, they're way out of our budget amount, right?
Okay, follow up to that, Mr. Chair.
Yes, please.
So if I'm trying to process this and I'm not in the construction world. So as the city, are we saying it's in the budget, but there's like almost $100,000 between the two bids? So do we not question it because it's in the budget, or do we question it because we're like, we could possibly save close to $100,000? Maybe we just say it's in the budget, so we just go to the next one?
It may depend on the package. Again, so there's some factors also that comes into play. Right. So we have tariffs, right, that are now an issue. So maybe at the time that the engineer's estimate was completed, maybe a number was 200,000, but maybe now with tariffs or whatever other issues, maybe prices on materials have gone up since the time. Maybe that's no longer accurate. So I believe all of that is taken into account when we're looking at the next lowest bidder, if it's within our budget, right? All of that would be taken into account. Okay, well, wait a minute, you know what? Maybe we do need to take a second look at it. So I don't think it's just saying someone is 100,000 above the lowest bidder and, oh, we're just going to just throw it out and put it back out to rebid. I think we would have to take those things into consideration prior to doing that.
Just to add on to that, Michelle,
okay.
if you look at, also with regard to the special meeting that just took place September 30th, I think it was specific to bids that some of which were over budget because of what Michelle was speaking to, tariffs, and the fact that we had an expiration date upon us that I believe was perhaps the next day. I think it was the 1st of October, that we had to take into account to move forward. So certain bids were disqualified, and because they were, we had to look to the next bid. So there was a timing issue, but even also a budget issue, to which, we temporarily resolved in that particular moment. However, it was still, if you recall, around $3.5 million over the budget. I'm going from memory, but I believe that's accurate.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chair, I wasn't talking about any involvement of tariffs, and I understand that, but that it wasn't in that. context, but I do have a final question.
Please.
So for some of our, so not the 20% minority set aside we do in Hartford, but with the other 80%, with their percentage that has to be even minority contractors. I have a question around when we use a minority business to purchase as opposed to labor. So is it a standard that we are using minority? So my interpretation would be, for my project, I have to use minority, and this is the non-minority contractors that get business here. I'm not going to use a minority company to do this, but I'm going to buy materials. So I'm going to buy my materials from a minority company. In doing that, is there a requirement for us to, for that contractor to directly purchase from the minority supplier, or is it acceptable to pay the supplier directly? And like, I want to get clarity on that. Like, I guess the question is, and I'll disregard the second part. Are we requiring for the contractor to write the check to the purchaser of the supplies, because we're saying they're the supplier? Is that the standard and requirement for us?
I'm not sure if
Yeah, I was going to say,
Really?
Michelle, the question is, I feel like there's a little bit of complication to the question there. And, I want to ensure that Ms. Brody has the appropriate answer. So, Michelle, if you can,
it's not complicated.
You can answer it now, please. I'll give you the space to do so. But if you can't, I recommend that we offline.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Ms. Brody, if you can send me that one an email, that may take a little time. I may have to pick apart that one because things, it's not dealing with suppliers, minority suppliers. It's a little different, as per the ordinance. So I would prefer if you can send me that in an email, then I can break, because I want to make sure that I'm answering your question in its totality. That would be great.
Okay, so before we go offline, I'm gonna restate the question, because a lot of things I ask here, because people want to know the answer, and when we go offline, is like set off of meeting. So I'm gonna just give try to give a 60-second description. ABC company is a minority supplier. I'm the contractor, so I'm saying I'm going to order from this minority ABC company. Am I writing my check to ABC company, and they're getting me the supplies and they're charging me, because they probably do an upcharge on it, of course, so they can make a profit? Or am I writing two checks? One to I'm paying the who they're going to get it from, I'm paying them directly, and then I'm cutting the check to the minority ABC supplier. So I need to know if we're doing one or the other, because I would think we would be paying the minority supplier and they're getting us supplies, because they're going to give us their price and it's going to benefit them in their business. And we're not paying the supplier and cutting the minority a check, because we're just doing like a pass through. That is what I'm trying to identify.
Without me being able to
no, I'm not asking you. I'm not asking you. Okay. No, I'm just saying that's my question. You don't have to indulge me, but that is the question. If we're doing one or the other, because I think we should have a standard on how we do that. That we're not just saying because think about it, when we do supplies, that means we're not doing labor, and we're not giving labor hours to Hartford residents. So that is my point for asking this question. If we are just saying, oh, I'm gonna just do supplies, but it's just like a pass through, and we're really not putting Hartford labor to work, because that's my emphasis is on Hartford labor.
So that should not be the go-to. That should not be just the end all be all, that we're using suppliers just to fulfill the minority percentage, right? And also this entity sounds like they're working as like a pass-through entity, that they're getting the supplies from other vendors, right? They don't necessarily have that in their storehouse.
Exactly. So I'll get you the specifics.
Right.
Thank you, Ms. Brody. And Michelle, we can follow back up thereafter. I'd like to proceed to, I guess there are two other agenda items. Agenda item number 8, projects on the closeout. In the minutes, we made mention of setting up a formal meeting with regard to Weaver fire alarm, to which Julia Jack will be reaching out to several folks who are interested in that conversation with regard to how the city has been approaching this particular concern for the associated parties and involved from a legal perspective. So I just wanted to make that comment to ensure that the board is aware that this is certainly still on the docket for the city. Other business, there was a memo. Again, this was as a follow-up to the conversation we had at last board meeting. There was a memo sent out by our Deputy Counsel, Lorraine Meserick, who happens to have joined us. I knew there was a conflict. I'm not sure if she can speak to this, but if in your mailbox, every board member on this board received a memo that spoke a bit to different entities, Board of Ed, City, Board of Ed City, and this board authority with regard to school projects. So I just wanted to address that here. Again, I said in our last conversation that I would like to give the space to allow for the appropriate conversations with regard to school construction projects, for those conversations to take place in an appropriate forum. However, as any relevant updates does come and substantive updates does come, I'll be sure to speak to it within this forum so that we can all be aligned. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that at the very least. Ms. Brody.
Yeah, I'm not understanding. I'm not following you on that.
Perhaps I can clarify.
I don't understand.
If you speak to where you're not following.
So we're talking about pausing of construction.
I was speaking to the memo that was sent on Friday. I think in our last conversation, we only spoke to the fact that it was in draft form. And the follow-up item was to send a physical memo to all board members, to which Lori was able to last week at some point.
Okay, so we're not saying what was on the memo. That's my question.
Yeah, the memo was sent on Friday. I'm sure some of you.
I'm saying, are we purposely saying that? Yeah.
I'm sure some of you had a chance to review it last week. I can give a few moments to Lori to speak to the contents of it, as she did in the prior meeting, if that's what you're asking, Ms. Brody. Certainly happy.
Yeah, because we're not even saying what it is. So if she could, that would be great.
Okay, that's a fair question. Thank you for clarifying. Ms. Meserick.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. So the memo that I believe went out on Friday was done in response to a request that I've occurred earlier in the summer with respect to the various roles that each of the stakeholders play in a school construction project, to include the city of Hartford, the Hartford Board of Education, the Hartford School Building Committee. And in the context of the discussion that occurred with respect to the review that the city plans to do to evaluate all of the city schools, spacing, budgeting, which could potentially result in a pause of some of the construction projects that are not fully moving forward at this time, but are planned to do so. So the memo addresses a general overview of the school construction process, and then breaks down the roles of each of those stakeholders to include the school building committee, the Board of Education, and the city. In addition, in the context of the pause of construction projects, there is a section that just addresses some issues and things to keep in mind moving forward, and considerations that the stakeholders should make to ensure that, for example, funding isn't lost. There's clear communications with respect to the board, the city, the Hartford School Building Committee, with respect to what the plan is at all times, and to ensure that people who need to be involved in those conversations are, for example, the superintendent. So that, I think, is the overview of what is discussed in the memo.
Thank you, Ms. Mesri. I see a hand from Ms. Brody.
So I'm starting to feel like we're kicking a can down the road to try and buy time when we are in a real live pause. Just like last month, I requested that the mayor's office meet with Hartford Board of Education members on the pause of construction and on the Weaver fire alarm. We had someone reaching out. Those meetings did not happen. So it seems at this point that it seems intentional at this point for me. I keep asking the same questions in these meetings month after month. And the Weaver fire alarm is probably a year or more questions. And disappointing that engagement around it has not happened. It seems like we're trying to justify something that was done. So we're trying to make a case on this side for a decision that was made, in my opinion, grossly and indefinitely without reason. So are we going to, next month, are we going to be saying the same things under this new business or old business? We're creating a pattern here. And I didn't know that if did we have public comment? I didn't hear anything about public comment today, but we're obviously, to the public, they know we're buying time and kicking this can down the road for what reason, I do not know. But with that said, I do want to ask a question that we're not losing money, because in June we would be losing money, and I want to ask the question: is it possible for the mayor to try to use funds or divert funds? Oh, we don't need it for schools, let's get it for something else in the city. Is that a possibility with these funds?
Well, first let me address, you brought up a few points. Weaver, unfortunately, the city has been, from the fire alarm perspective, we've been pursuing this from a legal end, right? So to your point about your ongoing conversations, and I think you mentioned a year, I've been briefed and continue to be briefed on conversations from our corporation council that continues to occur with the constituents around the fire alarm. So that certainly still remains a top priority for the city and clarifying those concerns and issues. The memo was provided, Ms. Brody, because it was mentioned that there should be clarity amongst the entities involved with relation to school construction. That's the reason why the memo was provided thereafter the fact of the conversations that took place within this forum, to which then I mentioned that we would ensure that these conversations take place, whether it's through the state, through the City of Hartford Board of Ed, through the city, and continue updates through those forums, right? I'm also aware that the city has ongoing conversations with Board of Ed members and the superintendent with regard to this specific discussion. So there are different forums where this is taking place. And when I say this, I mean at least a conversation around physical space. And that's the update that I'm receiving. So,
Mr. Chair, you're being misinformed. You're being misinformed. There is no real conversations around this. There's no real conversations. When you say conversations, there's no meetings that is happening that the Board of Ed has determined or said. We have too many buildings. We have not said that. So please, when you're speaking, you can say that's what the mayor is saying. Do not say that is what the Board of Ed is saying, because that is not what the Board of Ed is saying. We sent we know what we need, and what we need is for these 3 schools to be unpaused. And I asked a specific question on if the mayor can single-handedly pause construction, and I still haven't gotten that answer. That yes or no? Yeah.
Thank you, Ms. Brody. I would hate for you mentioned several comments, which I was responding to which then I was going to answer the question to which you asked. So I appreciate you mentioning what you just said. The city still plans to use the designated funds and grants in an appropriate way to support school construction projects. That is the plan. The goal is to ensure that the way we move forward is in an appropriate way that supports school construction projects, that limits any risk of those dollars that are designated to those projects to be at risk from the state. We want to make sure that as we move forward, the physical space of our schools and the dollars that are designated for the physical space are done in an appropriate manner. That's without risk to the grants that are set aside and allocated for school construction. That is a goal moving forward. That should always be the goal.
That is always our goal on a Board of Education side. So when you
that's
say
the goal for
that,
the city as well.
Yeah, no, but when you're saying that, it seems like you're saying it as if the Board of Ed is unsure about our physical space, like the Board of Ed is unsure that we're solid still on that same grant, that application that was sent to the state for the construction of these schools. We're solid on that. We are the mayor's office. That's you guys. That is not the Board of Ed. So I don't want there to be a mixed message that we're confused on anything. We're not. We're confused as to why construction isn't moving forward, but we're not confused on our physical space. We sent the application, and that's what we're standing by. Studies go into that application process. We didn't just come up with some numbers. So that part I do want to be clear on is that is where the Hartford Board of Education stands. We have not made another stance. So that is not us. And I just want that to be clear.
Thank you, Ms. Brody. I seem to recall you mentioning at one point of our meetings, you mentioned that the appropriate forums is where we should be addressing these concerns, which I completely agree.
Please don't,
I'm not,
Mr. Chair. No, please don't.
My comments today,
Don't
Ms.
do,
Brody,
yeah.
aren't meant at all to be misinformative or to what you said. You pointed out some confusion. I'm not in any way saying that there is confusion. I'm saying that the conversations with the state around physical space and with the city and the Board of Ed continue to take place. That's simply what I'm mentioning.
And I don't believe that to be true. There's conversations with the state and the mayor office. Who the mayor, I'm not sure. There is not a conversation with the state, with Board of Ed, and with the mayor's office. The school board is represented here. We are not in conversations about physical space. Oh, we are not in those conversations. That's your office, and maybe you're engaging with the state, but remove the Board of Ed out of that scenario. I don't want our parents, staff, I don't want the construction folks, I don't want any of them to think that the Board of Ed is in these conversations around not moving construction forward. We are not in those conversations. We actually are looking forward to Moylan, Sanchez, and Batchelder to start construction. That is our desire. And I want the community to hear that clear. The school system, that is our desire.
Thank you, Ms. Brody. I just, in addressing and responding to that, and I think we should, unless there are other comments, of course, I think we should, this is the last agenda item, but I would say that, we would like to move forward and to ensure there is a comprehensive plan as it relates to school construction project with relation to the city of Hartford. And I think I would just address everyone on this call, as well as, the public. And I'd like to ensure that the grant dollars that are in place for school construction projects will not be at risk for school construction projects. Right? We've asked for the appropriate extensions for the grant dollars in place, and the goal is to use those grant dollars to ensure that construction projects move forward. The question in this moment is to ensure that there is a comprehensive plan moving forward, and that is how I'll end.
Could you clarify who's the mayor? You're speaking for the mayor's office right now? Because we have a comprehensive plan. Yeah, we had a comprehensive plan. That's why we put in the school construction grant to get the dollars for schools. So what exactly whose comprehensive plan for who? From who? That's what I'm saying.
I think the comprehensive plan to which I speak to is one of which all the constituents are involved, giving ongoing updates around our environment. It's more about ensuring that with all the changes that are coming in place, that is also taken into account for us.
And I do, last comment from me, please. But I don't know if we did public comment. I didn't hear it because I know there was a public comment submitted. But okay. I will say that I would like it to be on record here, and the mayor has been made aware that because we're talking fiscally speaking, Hartford Public Schools, we all know this $30 million deficit that just hangs over our head. I want to point out here that the amount that we have Hartford resident students that don't attend the buildings in Hartford Public Schools. But Hartford is still responsible. The state sends money for them, is not enough. So from the Hartford school budget, we have to pay suburban towns and crack and all these other entities the exact amount. That $30 million that we run a deficit on, that's what we're paying for our resident kids who do not attend public schools in Hartford that go out. That is the budget problem. Hartford Public Schools doesn't have a problem in regards to how we spend our money and how responsible we are in fiscally, period. We don't have that issue. What we have is a choice issue in which the city of Hartford Public Schools has to pay for non-resident kids. So that is what needs to be solved. So analyzing a study, that is the study. The study is there needs to be a conversation with the legislature around choice and around all of those things, because that is the problem. Non-Hartford Public School students, but they're Hartford residents. Special education tuition, busing, and all of those things. We pay the suburbs, take our kids. That is the money problem. It has nothing to do with a management of funds problem on the Hartford Public School side. And I want to tie this into what we do here in this Hartford School Building Committee. We do things like pause. So one of the most attractive things to parents is facility. So what we're doing here, we're pausing construction, meaning the 6 schools up next, the mayor is pausing that, so it's in question that it would happen, right? And that is further helping parents make decisions that they want to even now go out of town. So we're feeding into this thing that does not make Hartford attractable. So residents want to choose Hartford Public Schools. Our buildings need to be renovated, which the city council thought was a priority. They voted on it. The Board of Ed, of course, is our top priority, but the mayor is making the case for why we have a deficit in the first place. The facilities are not comparable. So why wouldn't I choose something for my kid out of town? They're not stopping building facilities, but we are, and we're further causing this thing, and that 30 million is going to continue to grow. And what's going to add to it? This pause in construction. And I wanted to make that point. But please, there was public comment and I didn't hear it.
Thank you, Ms. Brody. I know Ms. Brody will like that to be reflected for the record. So Emily, if we could ensure that's reflected in the record, that would be helpful. We will make sure that this how we move forward is reflected in a comprehensive way. And I think I'll end there. And I'll ask Julia if there are any public comments, because I didn't hear. I believe Ms. Brody believes there is.
Yes, there is. There are 2 anonymous comments. One is, what are the expectations for the construction managers? ? When are these documents available and how early can they be posted publicly prior to the meetings? And I believe it's the documents we show here in the meeting with the update reports from the projects themselves. And question number 2, is the memo from the Office of Corp Counsel available to be posted for public review on the Hartford Civic Web? Please advise. So
Shay, if I can jump in.
I was just going to pivot to you. Yes, please.
With regards to the question number 2 and 3, the last 2 questions, the entire package that has been viewed right now is up already at Civic Web. I would actually, for the last question, ask Lori and yourself about that? Should to be posted or not? Like give
So
some
it seems-
direction.
Thank you. It seems like Lori is not on the call. But I don't see, oh, Lori.
Lori's
There you are. Lori,
Here.
please.
I'm here.
Lori, if you could guide me or regarding the last question that Julia brought up about sharing the last document, I would appreciate it.
I mean, I certainly don't have concerns unless there are concerns from the group.
Yeah, I don't see any concerns either. So Lori, how about I follow up with you and John Harding, our Corporation Counsel, dot the i's on that, and then we can follow up with how we'll move forward. But it seems like there are no concerns with regard to posting the memo. Any other public comments, Julia?
Yes, one additional comment.
Please.
The question is, how early can the documents be posted? So that the overarching question is, so we have a meeting once a month, how early before that meeting can the documents that will be reviewed in that meeting be able to be viewed on the Civic Web?
Those documents, the entire package is aimed to be ready by 2 o'clock on Friday before the meeting, so that they're posted by that end.
Thank you, Emily.
Sure.
Okay. With that, very good discussion today. I appreciate everyone and your volunteerism on this board. I would like to ask for a motion to adjourn this meeting. Can I have a motion?
So move.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Davis. Thank you, Mrs. Silva. All in favor, say aye.
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 No, are there any abstentions or nays? Okay, hearing none, meeting adjourned at 1:21 p.m. Thank you, everyone. Thank
Have
you.
a good one, everybody. Thanks.
Bye-bye.